Welcome back to The Mortals. I'm Nathan, your guide through the messy, beautiful, and sometimes downright chilling moments of life, death, and everything in between. If you're new here, this is the place where we strip away the walls, we get real about the stuff that shakes us, and share stories that remind us just how fragile and how fierce this human experience can be. And if you've been with us before, I'm glad to have you back at the table. Pull up a chair, grab a drink, because tonight it's like we're all just sitting down for dinner, swapping tales that'll make your heart race and maybe even make you laugh a little through the nerves. Ooh. All right, picture this. We're at my place. The table's set with some half-decent pasta that I threw together. Don't judge. I don't even know how to cook. And the candles are flickering because, let's be honest, I forgot to pay the electric bill. And the candles are flickering because I don't want the lights on. We're passing around a bottle of cheap red wine, and I've got these two stories that I've been dying to tell you. They're the kind of stories that stick with you, the kind that make you wonder about that thin line between here and, well, whatever's next. These are two near-death experiences, very real ones, pulled from lives that could be yours or mine easily. No plane crashes or car wrecks tonight, no mountains or collapsing buildings, just raw, relatable moments where people came face to face with the end and somehow walked away. And trust me, these are wild, very unique, and a little too close to home. I've dug deeper into who these folks are, what they felt, and the weird history behind their close calls. So buckle up, it's going to be intense. But before we dive in, I want to remind you to hit that follow button if you have not yet. Seriously, don't be scared, and don't be the person who shows up to dinner without a story to share, because we're going to call on you. And don't forget the dessert either. Hit that follow on whatever platform you're listening to. And if you've got a tale of your own, something unexplainable, or maybe even a near-death experience, join our Mortals community. The link to do so is in the description. First looks, first listen, access to major discounts, and content that no one will get anywhere else. All right, let's get to the first story. Go ahead, refill your glass, because this one's going to take us somewhere pretty dark. Imagine we're sitting here, forks paused mid-bite, because I've got to tell you about this guy named Mark. Mark's just a regular guy, mid-30s, living in a small town in Tennessee, working a 9-to-5 at a hardware store. He's the kind of guy you'd chat with over a beer at a barbecue. He's quiet, friendly, and always has a story about fixing something around the house. But here's the thing about Mark. The outdoors, that place, the outdoors, that's his sanctuary. Growing up, he didn't have the easiest time. His dad was in and out of the picture, and his mom, she worked 2 jobs to keep the kids and the family afloat. So as a kid, he'd escape to the woods behind their trailer park just to breathe, to feel like the world wasn't pressing down on him. Hiking, fishing, just sitting by a creek, it's where he found peace. Even now, with a steady job and a little apartment of his own, he's still that kid sometimes, needing to get away and get out under the sky to shake off the grind. But there's this one thing about Mark. He's always hated tight spaces. Even as a little guy, he'd freak out in elevators or crowded rooms or under covers, feeling like the walls were closing in. He never told many people, he just pushed through it, but it's always been there, this quiet dread. So when his buddy Jake comes along with this idea to explore a cave, Mark's game for an adventure, sure, but deep down, there's this little voice whispering, what if it's too much? He's relatable, right? We've all got our escapes, our little fears that we don't really talk about. And that's why what happens next hits so hard. Mark got this buddy, Jake, who's always pushing him to try new stuff. So one Saturday, Jake's like, hey man, there's this cave system about an hour from here, totally off the beaten path. Locals call it Whisper Hollow or something because of the weird sounds that the wind makes down there. Let's go check it out. Now, Mark's not a caver by any stretch, but he's game for an adventure despite that nagging fear of confinement. So they pack some flashlights, water, a rope, and a couple of sandwiches, thinking it's just a quick in and out, a cool story for Monday at work kind of thing. They're no pros, no fancy gear, just 2 guys messing around. And I know what you're thinking, dude, that's a recipe for disaster. And you're not wrong. Have any of you ever said yes to something even though your gut was screaming no? I'm not going to judge you because I've been there, and I bet Mark, he too wishes he'd listened to that gut feeling. The guys get to Whisper Hollow, and it's this unassuming little crack in a hillside hidden by overgrowth. You'd walk right past it if you didn't know it was there. They squeeze through the entrance, and right away, it's like stepping into another world. The air's damp, smells like wet earth, and something faintly sour like decay that's been trapped for centuries, but still smells good. It's so quiet in there, you can hear your own heartbeat, punctuated by the distant drip of water echoing off unseen walls. Their flashlights cut through the dark, bouncing off jagged walls that glisten with moisture, casting shadows that twist and flicker like living things. Mark, he's a little uneasy at this point, his chest already tightening just a little bit from the closeness of it all. But Jake, he's so hyped, pointing out stalactites and weird rock formations. They're maybe 20 minutes in, following this narrow tunnel that slopes downward, when they hear it. This low, moaning sound, like a sigh drawn out into a groan. Jake laughs, saying it's just the wind, the whisper part of Whisper Hollow. But Mark's not so sure. It feels alive, like the cave itself is watching, breathing, waiting. They keep going, deeper, the tunnel getting tighter, the walls seem to press closer with every step, and the air growing heavier, thicker, like it's pushing back against it. Mark tastes grit on his tongue, dust kicked up from their shuffling feet, and his flashlight beam trembles a little as his hands begin to shake. And here's where it gets dicey. They hit a spot where the path splits. A wider passage to the left, a super narrow one to the right. Jake wants to go to the right, the narrow one. Says it looks more interesting. Mark, he's like, no, man, let's stick to the easy route. His voice is tight. That old fear of tight spaces is clawing at him. But Jake's already halfway through the squeeze, so Mark follows. It's tight, like shoulder scraping. Can't breathe right tight. And they're crawling on their bellies, flashlights in their mouths, the sharp edges of rock digging into their elbows and knees. Mark's starting to panic just a little bit. His chest feels heavy again, like the walls are pressing in. His breaths are coming short and ragged. He's thinking, I can't do this. But he can't turn back now, not with Jake ahead of him. And have you ever felt that kind of trapped? Not physically necessarily, but like in a job, a relationship where the walls just keep closing in and there's no way out. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've been there. Not in a cave, but in my head. And that's suffocating too. So when I think about Mark, I'm right there with him, heart pounding. What would you do? Would you keep pushing or freeze or turn around? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments and in the community of the mortals too. And then, of course, following this decision, disaster. Jake's ahead and he dislodges a rock. It's not big, but it's enough. There's a rumble, a small collapse, and suddenly the way back is blocked by debris. Dust fills the air, thick and choking, stinging their eyes, clogging their throats as they cough and they gasp. And Mark realizes that they're stuck in this tiny crevice, no way out behind them, and only a sliver of space ahead that might not even lead anywhere. The cave seems to groan again, this time louder, as if mocking this predicament that they're in. The sound reverberating through the stone, just like this living pulse. Now, imagine this with me. You're trapped underground in this space so small that you can't even sit up. You can't turn around with a dude who's just as freaked out now as you are. Their flashlights are dimming. Cheap batteries, of course, is what they chose, and the air feels even thinner than before. Each breath is a struggle against the weight of the earth above. Mark's claustrophobia hits hard. He's hyperventilating, telling Jake that they're going to die. No one even knows where they are. His mind is racing with images of being buried alive and forgotten. We're done, man. We are done, he mutters. His voice is breaking. His Hands are clawing at the rocks as if he can maybe dig his way out. Jake's trying to stay calm, saying they'll find a way out, but his voice is questionable and shaking too. Hours pass, or what feels like hours. Their water's gone, sandwiches forgotten. Mark's hands are raw from scraping against rock, blood mixing with dirt at this point, and the sting is a constant reminder of their desperation. He's starting to see spots, like he's going to pass out. His thoughts a jumbled mess of regret and terror. They're not sure if they're even moving in the right direction, just inching forward through the narrow slit, every movement agonizing, the rock scraping their skin raw. And that moaning sound, it's back again, even louder, like the cave itself is breathing, taunting them. A cold draft brushing against Mark's neck like ghostly fingers. I'm telling you, I would be losing my mind right here, feeling like something's watching, waiting for me to give up. And then the worst moment happens. Jake, his friend, gets stuck. His shoulders wedged in this narrow spot and he can't move. He's panicking, thrashing, which only makes it even worse. His grunts turning to desperate yells. "I can't breathe, Mark, I can't," he shouts, his legs kicking uselessly, scraping against the stone. Mark's behind him, trying to push, but there's no leverage. His own arms trembling from exhaustion, sweat and dust stinging his eyes. Jake's screaming now. His voice is raw, and Mark's thinking, this is it. We are done. He's picturing his family, his mom, wondering if anyone will ever find their bodies, if she'll ever know what happened to him. It's that kind of despair that sinks into your bones, heavy as the rocks that are around them. But here's where it gets unreal. Mark, in his haze of fear, something. A voice, faint, almost like this whisper over the caves, moaning. And it's not Jake, it's someone else saying, keep going, don't stop. Mark thinks at this point he's hallucinating, figures it's from the lack of oxygen messing with his head, his mind playing tricks in the dark even, but the voice comes again, this time clearer. Push him. Push him. And something in Mark snaps into focus, a flicker of hope cutting through the panic. He grabs Jake's legs, braces against the wall with every ounce of strength he has left, his muscles burning, and he shoves. There's a grinding sound, a yell from Jake as rock scrapes skin, and suddenly he pops free. They're both gasping, shaking, but they're moving again. Adrenaline pumping through Mark's veins. That voice, it keeps guiding Mark. Left. Slow. It's not constant, just enough to keep him from giving up. A quiet anchor in the chaos that they're experiencing. And they crawl for what feels like forever, following the tiniest hints of fresher air. The cave's oppressive weight is still bearing down until finally they see a sliver of light. It's a crack, a way out, not the way they came in, but a side exit that they didn't even know existed. They drag themselves through, collapsing on the grass outside, covered in dirt and blood, the cool night air a shock against their battered skin. It's nearly dark out. They'd been down there for over 10 hours. And no cell service, no one around them, but they're out. Mark looks at Jake, and they just start laughing. This crazy, relieved, almost hysterical laugh. They made it. Later, when they're safe, patched up at a hospital, Mark tells Jake about the voice. But Jake didn't hear a thing, just Mark's shouting, and he looks at him like he's lost it. They go back to research Whisper Hollow, and turns out it's got a history. Old mining tunnels from the 1800s carved out by desperate men chasing coal in the hills of Tennessee. There are stories of collapses, workers trapped in the dark, never found, their families left waiting at the surface. And locals say the cave speaks to those in trouble, guides them, or warns them. Whispers carried on the wind from the lost souls. Some even claim to have seen figures in the shadows near the entrance on moonless nights, as if guarding the hollow. Mark doesn't know if it was a ghost, his subconscious, or just dumb luck, but He swears that voice saved them. He hasn't gone near a cave since, but he keeps a little rock from that day on his shelf, a reminder of how close he came and maybe who or what pulled him back. What do you think? I mean, sitting here with you all, I can't help but wonder, would I have heard that voice? Would I have even gone in the cave? Probably not. But if I had, would I have just curled up and given up? It's the kind of story that makes you think about what's out there watching over you, or maybe just in our heads. Have you ever had a moment where something nudged you out of danger, even if you couldn't explain it? I would love to hear about it. Let's take a quick break for a word, and then I've got another story that'll blow your mind. Don't go anywhere. I've got to tell you about something that's been a game changer for me and could be for you too. It is called Poppy AI, and if you're anything like me, always juggling a million ideas, trying to keep track of stories, scripts, music, or just life in general, this is your new best friend. Poppy AI is this incredible tool that helps you organize, brainstorm, and even draft content with the power of AI. I'm talking about turning a half-baked thought into a full-blown podcast outline in just minutes. It's like having a creative partner who never sleeps. And whether you're a content creator, a student, or just someone who wants to get their thoughts in order, Poppy AI can analyze your notes, suggest ideas, and even help with research. I use it to dig up some background for today's stories, for instance, like the history of Whisper Hollow, and it saved me hours of scrolling through sketchy websites. Plus, it's super intuitive. You don't need to be a tech genius to use it. Just type in what you're thinking, and Poppy AI helps you build on it. So, if you're sitting here at our dinner table thinking, man, I've got stories to tell, but no idea where to start, Poppy AI, this is for you. Click the link in the description for a special offer just for our listeners, 20% off your first subscription. That is at Poppy AI. Trust me, once you try it, you'll wonder how you ever got by without it. Link is in the description. All right, back to the table. Let's dive into our second story. Pass the bread basket because this next one's going to take us to the water. Not the ocean, not some crazy storm, just this quiet river in Oregon in 2017. We're talking about a woman named Sarah, 28 years old, a single mom with a 5-year-old daughter, working as a graphic designer from home. She's not an adrenaline junkie, not some wilderness expert. She's just a regular person who likes to take her kid on a little nature outing. And I think we can all relate to that. Those small escapes, just you and someone you love, maybe even by yourself, getting away from the grind out in nature. But let me tell you a bit more about Sarah because her story hits close to home for a lot of us. She's been on her own since Lily's dad walked out when Lily was just a baby, leaving her to figure out rent, daycare, and deadlines all by herself. Being a single mother, it's a grind. Late nights, hunched over her laptop, freelancing for clients who don't always pay on time, worrying if she's doing enough for Lily, if she is enough. She feels that loneliness sometimes, that weight of being the only one her little girl depends on. And it wears on her, even if she doesn't show it. So these little trips to nature, they're not just fun, they're her way of breathing, of showing her daughter Lily there's more to life than struggle, of stealing a moment where she's not just mom, but a person again. I get it. Those moments where you're trying to build memories despite everything happening around you. But for Sarah, one of those escapes turned into a nightmare she'll never forget. It's a warm July afternoon, and Sarah decides to take her daughter Lily to this local spot on the Willamette River. It's not a big deal, just a shallow stretch where families go to wade, skip rocks, maybe picnic. Sarah's been there 100 times growing up, a place of sunny childhood memories with her own parents before things got complicated. She packs a blanket, some snacks, Lily's little bucket for collecting pebbles, and they head out. It's wholesome. You can picture it, Lily in her tiny sun hat, giggling as she splashes in ankle-deep water, the sun glinting off the surface like a promise of a perfect day. But rivers, even calm ones, have secrets, hidden depths and silent pools, and Sarah's about to find out just how fast things can change. Have any of you ever had a day like that where everything seems to be going perfect and then it just flips on you? Total 180. You probably have. So let's see how Sarah handles. They're at the river for maybe an hour, just hanging out. Lily's building a little rock tower. Sarah's snapping pictures on her phone, soaking in the sound of her daughter's laugh, when Lily points to a spot a bit further out where the water's moving faster. "Mommy, look, shiny," she says, meaning some glinting pebbles under the surface. Sarah's like, "Okay, sweetie, let's check it out, but stay close." They've been a little deeper, water up to Sarah's knees now, cool against her skin, Lily holding her hand tight. It's still fine, still safe, or so she thinks, but there's an undercurrent here, subtle, hidden by the calm, glassy surface, a silent predator waiting. Sarah takes one more step, and suddenly the ground under her isn't solid. It's slippery, uneven, and she stumbles. Her foot catching on something, a root, a rock maybe, who knows, and she's falling. She lets go of Lily's hand to keep her from being pulled down too and yells, "Stay there!" as she hits the water. The cold shock stealing her breath for just a moment, but the current grabs her instantly. It's not a raging torrent, but it's strong enough, pulling her downstream faster than she can fight it, and the water's grip is like these icy fingers around her legs. She's flailing, trying to stand, but the water's deeper now, up to her waist, and then her chest, dragging her with relentless force. Lily's on the bank screaming, "Mommy!" A sound that cuts through Sarah like a knife, and her heart is breaking because she can't get back to her. She's a decent swimmer, but panic has set in. She's swallowing water, bitter and muddy, coughing as it burns her throat, her legs tangling in underwater weeds that feel alive, slimy tendrils wrapping tight. It's like the river's a living thing at this point, dragging her under with intent. She's swept maybe 50 yards downstream, out of sight of Lily now, around a bend where the water pools deeper and darker, like it's swallowing the light. Her head goes under, and it's instant. Cold, sharp, like 1,000 needles piercing her skin. She's fighting, clawing for the surface, arms thrashing, but the current's a beast, dragging her down with invisible hands. Her strength's fading fast, nearly gone, and every kick feels heavier, like her legs are made of lead. Her lungs are burning, screaming for it. The water's roar is everywhere, muffled but deafening, drowning out her own gasps. She tastes it, bitter, earthy, mixed with the metallic tang of panic. Her vision's blurring, edges going black, like ink spreading over a page. Weeds snag at her ankles, slimy and tight, wrapping around like they're alive, pulling her deeper and deeper. And in her head, it's chaos. This is it. I'm not going to make it. What about Lily? Who's going to tuck her in at night? Who's going to tell her I love her? It's that gut punch moment where you're not just scared for yourself, but for who you're leaving behind. She sees flashes, Lily's tiny sun hat, her giggle, the rock tower half built on the bank, and it's tearing her apart more than the water. I got to stop and ask, have you ever felt that kind of desperation where it's not just about you, but someone you'd do anything for? I mean, I'm right there with Sarah feeling that ache. What would you fight for in that moment? Tell me about it. Let me know in the comments. She's sinking at this point, everything slowing, her body betraying her, when suddenly there's this stillness. And it's not surrender, but a calm and weird one, like the fight's draining out. And then through the roar, she hears it. A voice that is clear as a bell, cutting through the chaos. It's a woman's voice, soft but firm, almost tender, saying, "Kick, reach." It's not in her head. It's not a memory. It's audible. The real voice, like someone's beside her in this watery hell. She doesn't know how or why, but it's repeating and insistent. It's a gentle urgency in its tone. Kick again, kick. And something in her just listens, even as her mind's screaming it's impossible. She kicks hard, following the voice's rhythm, her legs burning with the effort, and somehow her hand brushes something solid. It's a branch, and it's sticking out from the bank just within reach. She grabs it, pulls with everything she's got, and her arms are shaking, muscles are screaming, and breaks the surface, gasping, choking. Water is streaming from her mouth, but she's alive. The current's still pulling, a relentless tug at her legs, but she holds on, dragging herself inch by inch to the muddy edge. The voice fading, but its echo is still pushing her forward. She collapses there, sobbing, shaking on the bank, not even sure how she did it, but that voice, it's gone now, and it saved her. Sarah scrambles back upstream, half crawling, half running. Her legs are wobbly, screaming for her daughter, Lily. Her voice is hoarse from the water she swallowed. She finds her daughter right where she left her, crying, but safe. A couple of hikers nearby who'd heard the commotion and stayed with her. Sarah hugs her so tight and doesn't let go for what feels like forever. Lily's small arms clinging to her mom. Both of them are trembling. She's bruised, cut up from rocks, still coughing up water, but she's okay. The hikers help them back to the car, and later, at home, after Lily's asleep, Sarah sits there with a cup of tea, trying to process everything. Her hands shake as she grips the mug, replaying that voice in her mind. It's calm certainty, so at odds with the chaos of the river. She tells a friend about it, expecting to be laughed at, but her friend gets quiet. Turns out, that stretch of the Willamette River has a story. Decades ago, in the 1950s, a woman drowned there trying to save her own child from a sudden current. And locals say she lingers and watches over others, especially mothers. Her spirit is tied to this water's edge. Some even claim to have felt a presence near that bend, a gentle push or a whisper on windy days. There's older lore, too, from the people who lived along the river for centuries. Stories of water spirits who guide the lost or claim the unwary, depending on their mood. Sarah doesn't know if it's true, doesn't claim to believe in ghosts, but she can't explain what happened to her. All she knows is she heard something, and it brought her back to her daughter. So sitting here, I'm just floored by it. I mean, we've all been in water. I've been in raging water. Maybe not a river, maybe not a pool for you, but maybe a lake where you realize how strong that the water's current could be. But to be that close, to hear something or someone guide you out of it, it's kind of scary. Water is fun to swim in, but it is also very scary if you think about it. It makes me think about the people that we've lost, if they're still out there looking out for us. Maybe it's just us finding strength that we didn't know we had. Have you ever had a moment where you felt guided, saved by something or someone that you can explain? I would love to hear about it. Let me know in either the comments or be sure to join the community, The Mortals, of course. Link is in the description. Before we close out tonight's dinner chat, I've got to share something that's made creating The Mortals so much easier, and I think you're going to love it too. It's Descript. And if you've ever thought about starting a podcast or editing audio or short form video or even content in general, you need to check out. If you want to make your voice sound like a pro without a fancy studio setup, this is the tool for you. Descript, it's an all-in-one audio and video editing platform that's entirely online, so no expensive gear is needed. It's got features like automatic transcription, easy editing where you can cut and rearrange just by editing text, and even AI-powered voice cloning if you want to fix a flub without re-recording. I fix them all the time on this podcast, and you can't even tell. I use Descript every single episode to polish my stories, trim out my awkward ums and ahs, and make sure that you're getting the best listening experience. It has saved me hours of editing time. It really has, letting me focus on what matters most to me, which is connecting with you through these tales and through my music. And their latest feature, AI avatars, it's next level. So imagine generating a video of yourself reading a script without ever hitting record. Just type it, and Descript makes it look like you're saying it seamlessly. Whether you're a creator or just want to share your own stories, Descript takes the headache out of the entire process. So if you're sitting there thinking, I've got a story like Sarah's or Mark's to tell, but I don't know where to start. Hello, Descript has your back. Try for free at get.descript.com/mortals. Link is in the description. Try it for free. You're going to thank me later. I'm stuffed. Not on pasta, because I can't make it, but on the weight of Mark's and Sarah's close calls. I want to just sit here for a minute, sipping the last of this wine. I wish I had wine. And chew on what we've heard. Both of these stories in that cave and by that river, they've got this thread running through them. Being heard, even when you're at your most alone. Mark trapped in the suffocating dark of Whisper Hollow, and Sarah pulled under by the Willamette's hidden current. They were cut off from everything, from everyone, and yet something or someone reached out. I don't know if it's spiritual, psychological, or just the universe throwing a lifeline, but it makes me wonder about the times I felt lost, not physically, but emotionally. Like, have I ever heard a whisper or a nudge that got me through? Yeah. I'll let you in on something very personal here. A few years back, I was in a rough spot. Of course, maybe many of you all saw that. If you're the mortal, then feeling like I was drowning in doubt about where I was headed. I remember walking alone at night, this night in particular, just pacing my neighborhood. And I swear I felt this presence, like this quiet voice in my head saying, keep walking. It's going to be okay. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't like Mark or Sarah's experiences, but it was enough to pull me out of that spiral and to keep moving forward. Maybe it was me just talking to myself. Maybe it was something more. Maybe it was my late grandfather, my late cousin who always believed in me, or just some unseen force. I don't know, but it stuck with me. Have you ever had a moment like that where something unseen, it got you through? I mean, I'm all ears. I would love to hear about it. Share it with me in the Mortals community. Check it out. First looks, first listens, exclusive content, access to content before anybody else gets it. And of course, major discounts on merch and other really cool, unique releases. Anyway, the Mortals, it's not just about close calls or the chills. Of course, those get the heart racing. It's about reminding ourselves and each other that we're not as alone as we sometimes might feel. There's power in these stories, and the idea that even in our darkest, most isolated moments, there might be a whisper, a current, something pulling us back to the light. So if you're listening, maybe driving home or washing dishes or just lying in bed staring at the ceiling, know that this little dinner party, this community is here for you. Drop us a line in the comments, share your whispers in the dark, because I promise someone out here wants to hear them. Join the Mortals. If you are listening on any platform, I would be honored if you gave it a positive review. And I think that's really it for tonight. I've got to go clean up, and don't worry, I won't make you help with the dishes. Thanks again for being here, for laughing, for gasping, for just listening. Follow us if you haven't. Checked out the links are all in the description. And of course, keep an eye out for the next episode, always releasing Tuesdays and Thursdays. I've got more episodes that'll make you feel alive, maybe a little spooked, but always connected. And until then, take care of yourselves. Hold your people close, and remember, you're loved far more than you could ever know. I'll catch you next time.